When people send me a CV that's 3 or 4 pages long, my heart sinks, because they've not thought about the recruiter, they've not thought about the person who's doing the shortlisting. I've got 6, 7, 10, 15 CVs to get through. If you've got 3 pages, chances are I'm going to go, do you know what, I'm going to read someone else's CV first. And it also tells me an awful lot about, are you someone who can be succinct and can you be to the point, and have you put a bit of effort into this, or are you just going to be someone who, if I work with you, you're going to throw everything at me? My name is Sean McGrath and I'm the Chief Executive of the Entrepreneurial Scotland Foundation. I try and do simple things, like I try and put in sort of email ban rules. I try and leave my phone downstairs at night, and I bought a little old school alarm clock to use instead of using my phone as an alarm. Simple things like that. And I also recognised the importance of being on the business and not in the business. It took a couple of years, but I learned that actually this is not a selfish thing to be doing, taking time out, because you need to be away from the action in order to be able to see what needs to change. You need to be looking for people that are self-starters. So the way things are going at the moment in terms of AI and technology and all these kinds of things, just being path dependent, being someone that sits and waits for information on what to do next, you'll be out of a job if you keep doing that. You have to be a self-driver, you have to be self-started, you have to be self-motivated. So that's without a shadow of a doubt one of the biggest things. Curiosity is massive. I look for curious people, because curious people will find new ways of doing things, and that's what it's all about. And then I would say the third thing is emotional intelligence. Empathy is huge. As more and more things are being done by computers and by machines, the last great thing that's important for people to be able to do is build relationships, empathize with each other, and get people on board. That's the real skill in everything. I actually started out in my career working in sales, and I spent 7 or 8 years as a sales guy. And I then realized that if I wanted to become a C-suite, I had to look at some other way of getting in, breaking into that scene. And that's when at the age of 30 I decided to go back and become an accountant, because the guys I was always selling to were in charge, were always the accountants. And I carried a chip on my shoulder for a good number of years, because I would always look at my counterparts who were 21, 22 and I was 30, and I would think, I'm 7, 8 years behind these guys. I could have been so much further ahead if I had only just done this straight out of uni. What it took me a few years to realize was that actually all the stuff that I learned in sales, in that time that I was writing off as wasted time, it was actually all of those things that really helped me to progress in my career, much more so than the accountancy qualification. But you got to think about the people who are coming out of university now. They've got to get a job that pays the bills, they've got to get a job that they enjoy, but they've also got to get a job that saves the world. So you have to, this is the new pressure on them. This is not so much about helping them find a role that they're going to enjoy doing. They have to see a purpose in it. They have to know that they're contributing to something bigger than themselves. And that doesn't mean that every single role has to be directly linked to saving the planet, but you have to be able to show them a purpose beyond just, you do this and the shareholders will get rich. I'm maybe a little bit more forward than most people, but I love it when somebody asks me, is there anything that you've heard today that would stop you from giving me the job? It gives me this idea that they're interested in what they're doing. It also gives me a chance to actually tell them if I've heard something that's made me a little bit nervous, and I can then get a response from them on that and decide whether or not I was in the right or in the wrong.